How well can you stack your face? There are 3 levels of difficulty. Can you stack your face perfectly?
Okay, now we move on to the next one. How do we control, right? How do we control the drops of the objects one by one in order? Now, in order to do this, again, you want to set up is playing or not so that you can control when games stop, right? So you don't trigger any other things. And the nodes that we will be using is the counter nodes, right? Is the counter nodes. So this is the counter, and this is how you set that up. You want to have a counter, right? And you want to have a mod. Now, on this particular counter, pay attention to the from list, right? From list. And the 2, I set it to 99 times. So you can repeat this counter. It keep counting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on until you reach 99. And basically, you control the number of click items, the order, to 3 because there's only 3 clicks. Click 1, it drops. Click second time, the middle drop. You click the third time, it drops the final time. And then the cycle repeats again. So you want to have the mod being connected to the switch. And every time some trigger happens, and you see that this is what I've shown you from the earlier file, right? You want to set the position of the drop box, right, back to 0, right, wherever we set it. And then the static, remember the static, you lose it and it goes down, right? Wait for certain hours, and then the second box will come in. And upon the second click, the second items will fall. Now this is how you control the different items. So this is the first one. Notice that, right? Look at the number. You drop the second time, you see the number is changing, and the third time is changing. Right now, as you see, once you drop the third item, this one is no longer moving. Why? Because of the is playing. I've set the whole game, the game playing nodes. The is playing node is unchecked, so I stop any other triggers in game from in between. Yeah. Okay. So one thing I don't want to point out is the counter, right? So on this, by default, right, the value is set to 0. Right, so the starting is whatever you put. Right now, what happened is that, if you take note of the hierarchy here on the asset panel, as you can see, right, this is box 1, box 2, and box 3. So I define this as the first one. So the item, the first number 0 is actually on item number 1. And as I click, if I put this as 0, right, so as I click, right, so you see that the items are not are dropping on the next one rather than the other one, right? So there are 2 ways of doing this, right? Number 1 is that you either set the from to -1 so that it goes accordingly, right? So let's do this, and then you are dropping one by one, or you rearrange your assets in a different order. Yeah. The next thing that I want to cover is the collision detection. So there is a new physics notes on version I think 2.8 onwards, right? So on 3 definitely is in there. So this is the collision event, right? So to have the collision detection, you want to include this node, and this is how you set it up. Right? Do you see this collider component? Now what you want to do, take note of this, right? So when you click on this, I think by default is on transform, right? So when you come to collision event, remember I say that these items here, you want to include the box, right? Not the object itself. So in this case, it's actually the box, right? So it's actually the box. So this is the floor. Now, when you want to put an update on the start, connect it. And in terms of the event type, there are 3 different types. One is on enter, one is on stay, and one is on exit, right? You can play around with this. For our case, I want the detection to happen the minute they collide, right? So I click on enter, right? And you want to connect an if here, meaning that if collision is detected. Now, if that is true, now this is very important. Again, it's a set variables. You define this here, right? And basically, these sets that this floor is being collided, and notice this is actually on the bouillon, right? So let me check this off and check this off, right? So so let me come back here again, right? Going through this slowly. Now this is if function. If I hit the box, right? So I will set, basically it detects, and you want the value to check on this box, and the color, once upon the floor detection, you want the color of the floor to change to red, and wait for about 0.5 seconds. The color goes back to normal again, and then you again on these particular variables, you want to uncheck this. Basically you define, right, what is checked, what is not checked, right, so that it repeats. Because if you don't close it or uncheck it, it will forever, because you trigger this on, it will forever stay on, right? But you want it to turn off. Yeah, so this is how you identify exactly which item is being collided. So you repeat the same thing for the box 1, box 2, and box 3. Again, you want to have this node here as specify, and so we define that this box 1 is being checked, and these are the different triggers, right? These are the different triggers. And again, let me show you, right? So if I drop this, you can see, okay, let me just restart this. I click on easy. The first thing I want to do is the first box, and the bottom box is turned red. The floor is it has turned red, and then the middle box, as it collide with the bottom box, both turn red, and then the final box, you see that only the middle and the top it's detected. Now, why is this important? We need this because we want to calculate the value. Did you see this? The result turns good, and basically this is how we need to identify what is colliding with what and what is the distance, right? So now we have all this set up. Let's go to score calculation, right? Now here is the score calculation. Now here's how we define what is good and what is bad. Notice that for this game, the scoring is based on the accuracy of how users stack the two phases. As you can see here, the three of these phases here are being stacked on top of each other, and we want to define what is the distance range. Now, in order to do that, what you want to do is this, right? So this is the end result. So you go to box number 1, come here, right? On the hierarchy panel. You click on the box here, and you want to call out the transform. Did you see this? You want this get transform, and you want to connect this to the word transform information, right? Let me repeat that. Go to transform and click this item, right? You connect this, and then so here is the distance. I want to calculate the distance between the first box and the second box, right? So I need these two items and connect to the word transform information, called out the word position, and I want to put a distance node, right? So just distance, right? This is where you get a distance, right? And you want to set this to vector 3, right? This is how you get this, yeah? Now, I have a data convert here, right? If you don't need the result here as you've seen at the bottom here, then you don't have to do this step. But since this is a tutorial, I want the numbers to show up. So I put a text here and I have a data convert. You can skip this part and go straight to here, yeah? Now, when you come to here, this is how we define. Let me start again and pay attention to the number here, right? On the first number. So if I click on easy again, if I drop the box, you notice that this is 0.4, and then if this is sitting on top, notice that it's about 4.82, right? So since it dropped 2 times, right, we have to do this for the bottom and at the middle. and the middle and the top. So there are two numbers here. So, and since the perfect one is 4, right? It sits perfectly, the minimum is about 4 or in the region of 4, right? So the perfect score is 4 plus 4 is 8, right? Now this is where you set. This is where you set your tolerance level to the end result. For my case, I set the tolerance to 10. So 4 plus 4, so long as it falls less than 10, I will consider this as good. Alright, if not, everything else is bad. Meaning it falls off very far, then obviously once you add up the two numbers, right, it falls way off. Now, this is if you want to set the game I set it to 10 because I want to make the game more forgiving, right, so that it's not too difficult. But of course you can set this to like 8.5 to make it really, really difficult, right, and nobody can score, right? So it's up to you how you want to adjust this. So if you want to make the game more difficult, you can put a 9, right? You can put a 9 and it becomes really difficult, right? It becomes really difficult. So let me set this, right? So I drop this, notice this. Let me try to drop the second one like here, and drop the third one. As you can see, now it turns good, right? Both add up is 8.65, right? And I set it to 9. Maybe gain the score of 9 could be better, right? But it's entirely up to you. Right, that's it. That's how the whole game is being set up. And this file is available for download anytime. Just click on the link below and you have all this here. So now this box here I didn't cover because these are the collision detection tests that you can use. I mean, if you do not want this, right, you can just totally skip all of this, meaning all these numbers, and so on, color and so on. I did this, I included this part just for the tutorial basis. Yeah, it's for tutorial for your ease of reference. Right?
Coming up next on how to create the Stack Your Face game on Effect House.
So now, next we're gonna move on to how you create the face texture using the face mesh for the split face. Right now we are in Blender now. What you want to do is to highlight whatever areas that you want to highlight. This is the final product on how it looks like. Now that's how you do that. That's how you map that, and you want to import this particular box, right? So there you go. That's how you do the face texture, right, for the face split.